Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Are You In? This sharp-dressed looking man over here is my brother. You may have seen him before on another video of mine. And today we're going to be talking about something a little bit more recent than 2017. What are we talking about today?
A new album from Breaking Benjamin called Ember, their sixth full-length release.
Nice. Now, both of us have been pretty big Breaking Benjamin fans for a very long time. Probably, I want to say since 2010, 2008?
I would say for me, it started when it was Phobia back in 2006.
Right. Was that 2006? Holy
2006.
shit. Well, they've had 6 CDs. They've had Saturate, they've had We Are Not Alone, Phobia, Dear Agony, Dark Before Dawn, and now this one. There was a span of 4 CDs, and then they broke up, partially because of Benjamin Burnley's health issues, and partly because of legal issues that
Regarding the song Blow Me Away, which was re-recorded without Ben's permission, it was asked by the record label to re-record it, and Aaron Fink, the lead guitarist, re-recorded with a female singer, and there was a big lawsuit because Ben said he had creative license to the song, which he did, and he fired the entire band.
Yep. And then he just completely retooled the band, and in 2015, Dark Before Dawn came out, which kind of basically sounded like any other Breaking Benjamin CD that you've heard of. So, fair warning, if you're not a Breaking Benjamin fan, just leave right now. I'm going to give you 5 seconds, because what I'm going to say is not going to change your mind. Alright, are all you gone? Cool. So, I was excited for Dark Before Dawn, because I remember you telling me, oh yeah, Failure is out. But then I was like, oh wait, this sounds exactly like Diary of Jane. And other than the singles, none of them really stand out for me for that entire album. If I was going to go with favorite album of theirs, I would go toss up between Phobia and Dear Agony. Dear Agony has a huge part in my heart, you know.
I agree. I know exactly why you say that. My favorite song is probably off of Dear Agony, but my favorite album overall is probably Phobia.
Mm-hmm. So I was excited about this one, and a lot of songs seemed to drop before the album actually came out.
There was, I would say, 5 singles, and then once the album dropped, the next single dropped literally within 10 hours.
Mm-hmm. So a lot of really good stuff to hear. But, you know, now that we finally listened to it, we'll give you some thoughts on it. For me, at least, like I said, this isn't going to change the Breaking Benjamin formula. If you've heard Phobia, if you've heard Saturate, well, other than Saturate, because Saturate's probably their more...
It's their raw suit.
Yeah, they're more raw, more kind of punkish in parts with Ladybug and Firefly.
It's more hardcore punk, I would say, anything else.
Yeah.
Not traditional punk.
Right. So,
well, traditional punk as we know it in the sense. Back in the day, hardcore punk was what punk was known by.
Right. So, this isn't going to sway you to pick up a Breaking Benjamin CD, but I will say is a very solid and maybe their heaviest
album. I would say that. They're heaviest and they're definitely their darkest in terms of lyrical content.
I mean, from the get-go, you get Feed the Wolf, which feels just heavier than anything that they have done in their time. And it's really cool because it also gives, even in that heaviness, Burnley's falsetto sounds really, really good on it, and it sounds really good on a lot of songs.
His cleans have definitely improved with the band. Back on Phobia, the cleans weren't reaching the falsetto he's reaching now. Even on Dark Before Dawn, it was his first return in 5 years. I think he was still working out some being off that long from singing vocally, and I think at that point he was still trying to get back all his power. And this album, it just feels like he came out full force and just punched right in the face with his growls right off the bat.
And I think it works well because of just the heaviness of the music behind it. The drums really, really stand out on this album, which is something I haven't really thought about when listening to a Breaking Benjamin's album. Whether it's Feed the Wolf, whether it's Down, whether it's Torn in Two, Red Cold River, all those songs have very interesting drumming.
I will say though, ever since Red Cold River's come out, It's kind of fallen off for me a little bit. I like the song. Don't get me wrong, it's a great song. But in terms of it being on the album, it's probably one of the weaker tracks, I would probably say.
There is something, I'll say, there is one song that kind of eschews the mold, if you will. And I think you know which one I'm talking about.
I definitely do.
Darkness of You is
The Dark of You.
Sorry, Dark of You. Sorry, I don't have my notes right in front of me. But yes, The Dark of You is a song that is a little bit more on the mellow side, and probably the heaviest in terms of lyric or just feel in general.
Call what it is. It's a ballad.
It's a Breaking Benjamin ballad.
It's a ballad attempt by Breaking Benjamin, and it's a pretty good one. They actually have a guest singer come in. You may know him as Derek Hogue from Dancing with the Stars.
Yes.
Surprise, surprise. I mean, who knew he was a musician, but he actually does a fairly decent job on this track.
Yeah, and it's just nice to have a breather in terms of that type of song. And like, I actually just listened to Dark Before Dawn right before doing this today, and it made me realize, why do I not like Dark Before Dawn as much as this one? And it's because Dark Before Dawn, like, it has a lot of good singles, but everything kind of feels the same in the 12 songs that you have. Whereas you have enough difference in feel of these songs on this album where it doesn't always feel like, okay, now I'm just going to another song. There's The Dark of You, you get a little bit of a different feel. Red Cold River is a little bit of a different feel. Down is a little bit of a different feel. And they're all placed throughout the album, so it's never feeling like it's repetitive.
When it comes to Dark Before Dawn, I feel like it was a band kind of feeling each other out. We all knew this wasn't the best they could do. I mean, in all fairness, Ben wrote a lot of this material by himself and just hired the band to record most of it. And this album feels like he's brought the band more into the creative process, allowed them to have more influence on the music and on lyrical content, subjects of what the music's going to be like, track placement to let it flow better. So I feel like this is a more cohesive record because the band's definitely more cohesive at this point.
Now, again, but that doesn't change the formula. Of course, you have, like what has been, other than on a few of their albums, you have the intro song, you have the outro song, and somehow they tie together. At least this time around, Vega ties into Feed the Wolf, and Lyra ties into Close Your Eyes.
Correct.
Yeah. So at least it ties better. So, but again, it's another intro and outro song. If you are not fans of them, they're not going to change your mind. But at least they're short. They're much shorter than the ones on Dark Before Dawn. Vega's only about 30 seconds, and then Lyra's about a minute and a half. So not even well, you can easily pass through them. But yeah, I mean, again, it's all. It makes me wonder about something though, and I know that you are kind of a Breaking Benjamin apologist, if you will.
I came into review telling him it was going to be very hard for me to be objective. I've seen this band. If I go in September, which I'm planning on, or it's in August, probably be my 6th time seeing them.
And I've seen them. I saw him Breaking Benjamin with Disturb and Alter Bridge, and it's an amazing. It was an amazing concert.
Absolutely.
I love Breaking Benjamin as well, but I also know that there are. It's weird. I always tie Breaking Benjamin with 3 Days Grace because they are from. I know. Hold it.
That's an insult.
Wait, I'm not saying in the character of the bands. I know that
they have a very similar album release schedule.
Right, and it's kind of the similar appeal. But the weird thing for me is that 3 Days Grace, even though they suck now, and trust me, I will do an album review on The Outsider when I get a second. Beforehand, like before Adam Grantier left, you had Life Starts Now, and not a great album, but an interesting album musically that they tried something different. And then you get Transit of Venus, which from their experimental idea came Transit of Venus, to me it's their best album that they've had. I wonder if I know that
I would probably still say 1X, but that's just me.
So Burnley, he's great at what he does. He knows his niche. He's kind of like Papa Roach in that they know their niche. They're going to stay with it. But I always
But Papa Roach is a much worse band.
But I always wonder if Burnley. I would love to see his experimental side.
I mean, he writes music that he wants to write. It's not anything that anyone's forced him to. He has had a very tough last 15 years, if you know anything about the band. He, on a daily basis, deals with wet brain syndrome, which is due to his prior alcoholism, which causes everyday tasks to be tough. He also has told a lot of the public, and it's coming out that he has an undiagnosed illness and that the doctors can't seem to figure out what is wrong with him. So a lot of his content, a lot of his music comes from that personal struggle, and I think he doesn't need to go experimental because he knows he's doing it for him and nobody else.
I totally get that, and like I do appreciate his work because it's all solid. He knows what his sound is and he can make it great, but that's where it gets hard for me to recommend this, and we'll get this later because again, if you haven't been sold on Breaking Benjamin, this isn't going to sell you on Breaking Benjamin.
Oh no, not at all.
The only if I was to say, hey, this is a Breaking Benjamin CD, are you going to listen to it? It's like, no, I don't like it. It's like I would probably only actually recommend from that CD The Dark of You because it's a different sound from them. That would be the only song that I would recommend to someone not liking Breaking Benjamin.
The other song I would probably recommend because it's not super heavy, but it has that kind of mid-2000s alt rock metal to it, is probably Torn in Two. It is probably the most accessible other single that they have because Blood is weird. It's heavy and it's weird. Mm-hmm. It's a little experimental. Not a lot, but it's definitely outside the normal what they would normally do. Feed the Wolf is heavy. Mm-hmm. Red Coal River is heavy. Save Yourself is heavy-ish. It's more. Yeah, it's a song I would feel more like would be on Dark Before Dawn.
That actually has a little bit of experimental in it. Save Yourself. Also, Psycho.
Psycho may be between Torn in Two and Psycho are my favorite tracks on the album. I would probably lean towards Psycho just because of the lyrical content on that song alone really speaks to me.
And like another thing that I kept hearing is like the first time I listened to this, I told him like it's good. It doesn't like do anything new for me. But then when I was like, okay, I'm gonna approach this from a Breaking Benjamin fan. I'm like, okay, I actually really like a lot of the songs. Though it was hard for me not to be like, okay, well, Torn in Two kind of sounds a little bit like Blow Me Away. And Down kind of sounds a little bit like Unknown Soldier. And Blood kind of sounds like Until the End.
Unknown Soldier is such a good song. I'm sorry to go on a divergent path, but I love Phobia so much.
So that's actually a fun thing that I would love to do one day. I know they have their greatest hits, but I would love to sit down and be like, okay, what are the 12 essential songs that you could put together from every one of the CDs? Because basically, it gets to a point where you could basically mix or match, and you wouldn't know what CDs
which album it was off of. I get that.
But also another thing, lyric-wise, there are some good lyrics, but maybe this is just me, but they have their own category of lyrics. It's the Breaking Benjamin lyrics,
It's.
Do you get what I'm saying?
It's almost going emo, but not quite. Like, it's approaching the line of going from, melancholy and dark to kind of cheesy and emo, but they don't go, as far as, a Pierce the Veil one.
Because, that's another thing where it's if you took the lyrics and if you couldn't picture the music in your head, I feel like I could take some lyrics from one song and put it on another song and it would make sense. And it's not a bad thing. He has a lot of really good imagery. It's just it's the tried and true lyrics that he knows to write. In the end, though, it is a very good CD. So here's a couple of questions. First off, would this? Because here's the thing. I really like the CD. I don't know if I would have it. Depending on what happens, I would most likely have it in my top 50. I don't know if I would have it in my top 20 of the year, depending on what happens, how this year shapes out.
It depends on what you're grading on. If you're grading just the albums of the year, or you're talking about like specific genres for albums of the year, say like it's the top 20 hard rock albums of the year.
I can see
this
that.
will definitely even this will probably crack top 5 for like the best hard rock albums of the year.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're doing top 50 metal albums, it doesn't make the list because it's not metal.
Mm-hmm.
Or top 50 albums of the year, it may not make it because, like you said, it's a Breaking Benjamin album. You're not getting anything you don't know.
Right.
And it's definitely for a niche market, but there is a pretty big market for this music. A lot of people look forward to it. This is one of the biggest releases of the year for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean, I will say that I was excited. This CD and Eat the Elephant, which hopefully we'll talk about at some point in time, were the two that I was really, really excited about for this year.
And that just shows the appeal of this band. Even though it's not anything innovative, they know what the fans want, and they do it for the fans, which I think is a great thing that all bands should do.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know if this will. It most likely will crack my top 50. I don't know what will happen. I mean, there's so many albums that still need to come out, and each day I'm listening to some new stuff. Even like I just listened to Firepower by Judas Priest today. And it was really good.
Especially with, the band member, the guitarist, having Parkinson's and going through that. You can definitely tell on the riffs that, he is struggling to get back to where he was. And he never will be, but for guys in their mid-60s doing this, it's pretty impressive.
So you are the huge Breaking Benjamin fan. This is what I need from you. I am someone who's not sold on Breaking Benjamin. Tell me why I should listen to this album in comparison to any of the other albums.
Well, first off, it depends on your musical taste. Are you a rock fan? If you are, this is right up your alley. Let's be completely honest. This music's definitely not for everybody. If you're having a tough time, this album may help you relate to yourself. It may help you relate to other people, just because it does explore lyrical content that you wouldn't hear on your regular pop channels. It's dark. It's depressive. Can almost get to the point of suicidal at some points. Doesn't quite go that far, but you see like where it is. The main draw of this band is Ben. Ben's vocals, his growls are probably the best in rock, and they're not so off-putting because you can still understand what he's saying. He still enunciates through his growls, so you're not feeling like, what am I hearing? I don't know. What did you just say? Mm-hmm. And he offsets it with beautiful falsettos that he can reach, especially on the chorus of Torn in Two. Yep. That note he hits when he hits the Torn in Two part, it's wow. Wow.
That and the Dark of You.
Yeah.
On the last part of it, just going between his chest voice and the falsetto sounds awesome. If I was going to go top 3 for the album, I would go Dark of You. I would go Torn in Two. I think I would go Feed the Wolf. Because I really like that. That was a great way of opening up that album.
It was very good. My top 3 would probably be... I'm like I said, I'm torn in two between Torn in Two and Psycho. God, which song I listen to probably more as a single? Probably Psycho, because I was really into that. But when Torn in Two dropped, I was really into that. I'd still probably go Psycho number 1, Torn in Two like 1A if you have to go 2, make it 2, and then a song no one's talked about yet, Tourniquet. It's by my
forgot about that one.
Tourniquet opens up this really kind of
quiet. That also feels like Unknown Soldier. I gotta say,
it does, and that's why I love it, because I love Unknown Soldier. It's very atmospheric to open up, and then Ben hits you out with that screamer off the bat. The guitars are just tuned really low and really heavy, and the drums just kick in, and it's just it's probably might be the heaviest song on the record, potentially.
Yeah,
you can make an argument for it. So that's why I love it, because I am a metalhead, and this is one of the bands that kind of opened that gateway up to me to expand past hard rock or alt metal, which is another reason for people who want to get into metal. This would be a perfect gateway album to kind of break the mold, to kind of open up your boundaries and expand your musical knowledge.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And then from there, it could even be a gateway of being like, okay, you're feeling like you don't want to go too far into metal. Try Dear Agony. Try Phobia again.
They're a very accessible alt metal band.
And the drums sound great. There are some interesting guitar parts, especially on Tourniquet. Tourniquet has some awesome guitar parts. The harmonies. This is actually. I'm gonna do a really, really quick theory thing because I gotta. But like, this is actually the band that got me into understanding harmony much more. Like I would sing through Phobia, I would sing through Dear Agony, and be like, okay, I can hear these harmony parts. And I would say this band has always been good with harmonies.
Oh, absolutely.
Like because it's also because most of their music it follows the same kind of formula. And what I mean by that is they kind of use the like one particular minor key, and they'll either stay within that minor key or quickly modulate to the major. So like you'll have a C major chord going to A flat major, which showing that you're using parallel modes. That's something that's very, very common in a lot of their songs. So where it's like you don't know where the major and where the minor is. So because of that, it makes it very easy to be able to access that. Like, okay, you're going between these and making interesting harmonies. It's actually something that you see a lot in alternative metal bands and like that, where they play with the major and the minor so well. Another band that's like that is Of Mice and Men. Do the same kind of thing. You don't like them, I know you don't.
The whole genre of music to me is that's another subject.
I mean, 3 Days Grace does the same type of thing. Like I know you're talking about bands that you don't like as much. But
it's not that. It's the genre of music they play. It's the whole metalcore. There's only really one band out there who does it right, and that's Killswitch. Any other band is just kind of
old Killswitch.
Yes, and they're little. Most of those bands, like the Mice and Men, they try to be something they're not. It's just not. It's a different generation. Their generation didn't grow up the way we did. What real metalcore was. So.
All right, old man.
I know I'm old. I'm an old fart, but the new metalcore just doesn't do it for me.
So, last question. Well, I'll do two things because I know you like the number system, even though I don't do it as much. Where would you rate this for
their discography?
Well, first off, where would you rank it in their discography, and what would you give it as a score?
Okay, first their discography. I would probably right now. It's still fresh. This may change over time. Right now, it's probably number 2 in their discography. Probably goes Phobia, Ember, then Dear Agony. Mm-hmm. Now, score-wise, I'm going to give 2 scores. Okay, the objective one and the non-objective one.
Okay.
The objective one, it's Breaking Benjamin. It's nothing new. It's nothing innovative. There's no risk. It's very safe. They do what they do, and they do it very well. And if I was to be objective, I would probably give it like an 8.25.
Okay.
The unobjective Breaking Benjamin fan, it's a 10. Love it. Give Phobia a 10, it's right there, it's 10. It's a fan, I find no fault with this album because it's everything I want it to be. And so if we're going to give a score, let's kind of meet close to the middle, and I will settle on a very strong 8.75.
Okay. All right. I'll do the same thing then. So I also put it as number 2. I switch it around. Dear Agony is near and dear to my heart. And so even though there might be some better songs in Phobia, I think the Dear Agony is a better CD. And then I would put Ember, and then I would put Phobia as of right now. Though I do worry that, kind of like Dark Before Dawn, I do worry that as we go on, Ember may just kind of fall into our memories of like, oh yeah, some of these songs were on this album.
I don't think so. I think this has a little more lasting power because I haven't, even when the songs of Dark Before Dawn came off, I didn't gravitate towards them singles-wise as much as I have with like Psycho or Torn in Two or Save Yourself. Like I really have put those on repeat in my car a lot.
But I would worry. I feel like Ashes of Eden is a very popular song by them, and if
it's mainstream.
But if I was to go between all the singles on here or Ashes of Eden, I might have to swing towards Ashes of Eden.
Yeah, because you aren't the biggest metal fan. You appreciate more of the experimental side of bands. You want to see them expand their field, which I understand, which is nothing wrong with that.
So, going objectively and non-objectively. Objectively, I really like this. I like this album, though I know it doesn't do much difference. What I will commend it is that there are more stylistic ideas on this album than there were on Dark Before Dawn. And again, it has the Dark of You, which is the most different that they've ever been, and I really commend them for that. So I would go a solid 8. On the non-objective side, I really like this album, but I can't put it on the same level as Dear Agony. So I'll go 9.5.
So we're not that far off in terms of fans. I mean,
so I would say
I may be a little high, maybe more like 9.75,
Right.
but it's definitely very, very, very high up.
So I'll split the difference and say, what did you go?
I said 8.75.
I think that's a pretty good.
I almost want to go 9, but I know in my heart of hearts I can't go a 9.
But okay, no, I'm gonna actually lean closer to my objective side and say 8.5.
Okay.
Because
I will go 9, so we can get an 8.75 as a total.
Fair enough. Okay.
There we go.
So this was fun. Definitely, we love talking about metal. When I get this guy going, we definitely try to get some more metal stuff.
Oh, big time. I try to expand his field as much as I can.
Though I've been pushing you on some stuff that you didn't know that was coming out.
No, you definitely did.
So, I mean, there's still a lot coming out soon that I would love to talk about, and if you want to hear it, definitely let us know. I know in the future, Tremonti is something I'm definitely going to want to talk about. There's another Bullet for My Valentine CD coming out.
I heard lead single. I'm not excited for it at all. Lead single is very generic. I'm afraid we're going to get another Temper, and that just, I can't put myself through that.
Godsmack is coming out with something next week.
Again, Godsmack, another band that I feel like is going to give us something generic. Like they have for the last couple.
But there's other stuff coming out that I'm very interested in, and I would love to hear what you want to hear. There's still, I'm going to eventually get to Eat the Elephant because that is something that I really want to talk about, whether or not I'm going to have him here. Hopefully I will. And who knows? Knock on wood, Tool says that they're going to put out something this year. But you never know. So, again, thank you so much. Of course, like this video if you enjoy what we do. Comment on albums you'd like to hear, or even your score on this album, or what you think about this. Share it with your friends. Subscribe to the channel so you can see more of this stuff, because I put album videos out 3 times a week. And yeah, just keep looking forward to our next videos. We'll see what happens. But until then, I'll see you in the next video. Peace.
Peace.